In the annals of history, few figures cast a shadow as long and as compelling as Alexander the Great. Born in 356 BCE in the ancient city of Pella, Macedon, Alexander III, known to history as Alexander the Great, ascended from the ranks of a young prince to become one of the most formidable military commanders the world has ever known. By the time of his untimely death at the age of 32, he had amassed an empire that stretched from the rocky highlands of Greece to the sandy plains of Egypt and beyond, into the heart of the Indian subcontinent. Alexander's legacy is not merely defined by the vast territories he conquered, but by the indelible mark he left on the world's history and culture. His campaigns reshaped the political landscape of the ancient Near East, scattering the seeds of Hellenistic culture across 3 continents. His vision of a unified empire, melding Greek and Eastern traditions, set the stage for the rise of a new era in the ancient world, an era that saw the blending of cultures, ideas, and innovations. Yet, Alexander was more than just a conqueror. He was a visionary who sought to transcend the boundaries of his time. His ambitions were fueled by a combination of personal ambition, inherited legacy, and a belief in his own divine destiny. This potent mix of personal drive and strategic genius enabled him to achieve feats that seemed impossible even by the standards of his era. This story delves into the life of Alexander the Great, exploring the man behind the legend, the prince who defied his fate, the warrior who toppled empires, and the leader who left an enduring legacy. Through battles won and lost, alliances forged and broken, and the relentless pursuit of greatness, we uncover the essence of a ruler whose impact on history is still felt today. As we journey through the rise and fall of one of history's most influential figures, we invite you to witness the triumphs and tragedies that shaped Alexander's path. In understanding his life, we gain insight into the complex interplay of power, ambition, and legacy that defines one of the greatest military minds in history. Welcome to the world of Alexander the Great, a world where ambition knows no bounds and the quest for glory transcends the ordinary limits of human endeavor. Chapter 1: The Macedonian Prince. In the heart of ancient Macedonia, under the reign of his father, King Philip II, Alexander's story began in the opulent city of Pella. Born in 356 BCE, Alexander III was the son of Philip and Queen Olympias. His birth, marked by a series of omens and portents, was heralded as a sign of greatness. From a young age, it was clear that Alexander was destined for more than a typical princely upbringing. Alexander's early years were steeped in both privilege and rigorous training. As a child, he was tutored by the finest educators of the time, learning not only the art of war but also the principles of governance and diplomacy. His early education was designed to mold him into a future leader capable of navigating the complex political and military landscapes of his time. His initial schooling was overseen by a series of tutors and mentors who were carefully selected to provide a broad education. From mastering Greek literature to understanding the intricacies of Macedonian politics, young Alexander was groomed for leadership. He showed an early affinity for learning, displaying an insatiable curiosity and a keen intellect that set him apart from his peers. Among Alexander's tutors, none was more influential than Aristotle, the famed philosopher and scholar. In 343 BCE, Aristotle was appointed as Alexander's tutor by his father, Philip II, recognizing the potential in the young prince. This period of tutelage would have a profound effect on Alexander's intellectual development and worldview. Under Aristotle's guidance, Alexander was introduced to the works of Homer, whose epics ignited in him a passion for heroism and glory. Aristotle also imparted knowledge on subjects as diverse as philosophy, science, and medicine. The teachings of Aristotle would shape Alexander's approach to leadership, emphasizing the importance of wisdom and knowledge in the exercise of power. Aristotle's influence extended beyond mere academic instruction. He instilled in Alexander a sense of duty and a vision of a unified Greek world. Aristotle's teachings on politics and ethics would later guide Alexander's efforts to integrate Greek and Eastern cultures, promoting the fusion of ideas and traditions across his vast empire. Alexander's relationships with his family and tutors were complex, marked by both affection and tension. His father, Philip II, was a formidable and ambitious ruler who sought to unite the Greek city-states under Macedonian hegemony. Although Alexander admired his father's military prowess and political acumen, their relationship was often strained by Philip's expectations and Alexander's own burgeoning aspirations. Queen Olympias, Alexander's mother, was a powerful and enigmatic figure. Her influence on Alexander was significant, particularly in shaping his beliefs about his divine heritage. Olympias, a devoted follower of the cult of Dionysus, imparted to Alexander a sense of divine destiny, further fueling his ambition to achieve greatness. Alexander's interactions with his tutors also played a crucial role in his development. While Aristotle's teachings provided intellectual and philosophical guidance, other tutors helped to refine Alexander's physical skills and military strategies. These relationships, though sometimes challenging, were instrumental in preparing Alexander for the role of king. As Alexander matured, he began to forge his own path, often clashing with his father's expectations and asserting his independence. His relationships with his family and mentors were a blend of support and conflict, each contributing to the formation of a leader who would one day change the course of history. In the crucible of his early years, Alexander's education and relationships laid the foundation for his extraordinary achievements. His intellectual curiosity, combined with a relentless drive for greatness, set him on a path that would lead to the creation of one of the largest empires in history. This chapter of his life, rich with formative experiences and influential figures, reveals the makings of a prince who would soon become a legend. Philip II of Macedon, Alexander's father, was a monarch whose reign was marked by significant military and political achievements that set the stage for his son's future conquests. Ascending to the throne in 359 BCE, Philip inherited a kingdom in disarray, fraught with internal strife and external threats. Through a combination of military reforms, strategic alliances, and sheer ambition, Philip transformed Macedon into a dominant power in Greece. Philip's military innovations were revolutionary. He reorganized the Macedonian army, developing the phalanx formation, which combined the use of long spears, or sarissas, with a compact and disciplined infantry. This new formation gave his troops a significant advantage in battle, allowing them to outmaneuver and overpower traditional Greek armies. Philip also skillfully employed diplomacy and marriage alliances to consolidate his power. He secured alliances with various Greek city-states and forged marriages with influential families, extending his influence and stabilizing his rule. One of his most notable achievements was the formation of the League of Corinth, a federation of Greek states under Macedonian hegemony, which laid the groundwork for future military campaigns. Under Philip's rule, Macedon became a formidable force, with its influence extending over most of Greece. His vision of a unified Greek world, combined with his military prowess, set the stage for his son Alexander to inherit an empire that was both powerful and strategically positioned for further expansion. As the son of Philip II, Alexander's role as crown prince was one of both privilege and responsibility. From an early age, he was groomed to take on the mantle of leadership. His education under Aristotle provided him with a broad understanding of Greek culture, philosophy, and politics, while his training in military tactics prepared him for the demands of kingship. Alexander's role extended beyond mere preparation for leadership. He was actively involved in his father's campaigns and administrative affairs. At the age of 16, Alexander was left in charge of Macedon as regent while Philip waged war in the Greek city-states. During this time, Alexander demonstrated his military acumen by quelling a rebellion in the Thracian territories, showcasing his capability to handle both military and administrative challenges. Alexander's involvement in his father's campaigns further solidified his position as a leader in training. He accompanied Philip on various military expeditions, gaining first-hand experience in strategy and command. His participation in these campaigns not only enhanced his skills but also earned him the respect and loyalty of the Macedonian army, setting a strong foundation for his future rule. Despite the apparent harmony, Alexander's relationship with his father was complex. Philip's ambitious plans for expansion and consolidation often placed Alexander in the shadow of his father's towering achievements. Nevertheless, Alexander's growing reputation and military success positioned him as the heir apparent to the Macedonian throne. The assassination of Philip II in 336 BCE was a pivotal moment that dramatically altered the course of Alexander's life and the fate of the Macedonian Empire. Philip was murdered at the wedding of his daughter, Cleopatra, to the powerful nobleman King Alexander of Epirus. The assassin, Pausanias of Orestes, was a former bodyguard with personal grievances against the king. The circumstances surrounding Philip's assassination remained shrouded in mystery and intrigue. While the official account points to Pausanias acting alone, conspiracy theories abound, suggesting that the murder was the result of a broader political plot. Some historians speculate that Olympias, Alexander's mother, may have had a hand in the plot, motivated by her desire to secure her son's ascendancy to the throne. Others suggest that political rivals within Philip's court could have orchestrated the assassination to disrupt the succession. Regardless of the true motives behind Philip's death, the immediate impact was profound. Alexander, at the age of 20, was thrust into the role of king, inheriting a vast empire and a complex political landscape. The transition was not without its challenges. Alexander had to swiftly consolidate his power, dealing with dissenting factions and ensuring the loyalty of the Macedonian army. The shadow of Philip's achievements loomed large over Alexander's early reign. While Alexander inherited a formidable empire and a well-established military, he also faced the immense pressure of living up to his father's legacy. As he embarked on his own campaigns and pursued his vision of conquest, Alexander was both guided and constrained by the powerful legacy of Philip II, shaping the course of his own remarkable journey. The death of Philip II left a power vacuum that Alexander, barely 20 years old, was swiftly called upon to fill. The coronation of Alexander the Great was both a symbolic and practical transition of power, marking the beginning of a new era for Macedon. On the heels of his father's assassination, Alexander's ascent to the throne was a critical moment that demanded both political acumen and military prowess. The ceremony took place in the grand city of Aigai, the ancient capital of Macedon. The coronation was a traditional affair, with Alexander assuming the royal regalia and being anointed as the rightful king. This formal event was attended by Macedonian nobles, military leaders, and representatives from allied Greek city-states, signaling the continuity of Philip's legacy and Alexander's legitimacy as his successor. Despite the ceremonial grandeur, Alexander's coronation was overshadowed by immediate political challenges. To solidify his position, Alexander needed to demonstrate his capability as a ruler and his readiness to uphold his father's achievements. His early reign was marked by a series of strategic moves designed to establish his authority and quell any doubts about his leadership. Alexander's rise to power was not without significant obstacles. The immediate aftermath of his coronation saw a wave of dissent and rebellion that threatened to undermine his authority. Various factions and city-states, sensing an opportunity in the wake of Philip's death, began to challenge Macedon's dominance. One of the first major challenges Alexander faced was from the Greek city-state of Thebes. The city, discontented with Macedonian control, revolted against Alexander's authority. The rebellion was a test of Alexander's resolve and military skill. Demonstrating both strategic brilliance and ruthless efficiency, Alexander swiftly responded with a campaign to crush the insurrection. The siege of Thebes was a brutal affair, showcasing Alexander's tactical prowess and his determination to maintain control over the Greek territories. After a fierce battle, Thebes was subdued, and its rebellious citizens were dealt with harshly. The city was destroyed, and its inhabitants were either killed or sold into slavery. This decisive action sent a clear message to other Greek city-states about the consequences of defying Macedonian rule. In addition to external threats, Alexander had to manage internal dissent. The Macedonian nobility, some of whom had been loyal to Philip and were wary of the new king, posed a potential challenge. Alexander's ability to navigate these complex political dynamics was crucial in consolidating his power. With the immediate challenges addressed, Alexander turned his attention to securing Macedon's borders and consolidating his empire. The stability of his reign depended on ensuring that the kingdom was well defended and its territories secure from external threats. One of Alexander's first military campaigns was directed towards the northern and eastern borders of Macedon. The Thracians, a fierce and independent group, were a significant threat to Macedonian security. Alexander launched a series of campaigns to assert control over the region and prevent any incursions into Macedonian territory. These campaigns were characterized by a combination of military force and diplomatic negotiations, securing alliances with local leaders and integrating the region into the Macedonian sphere of influence. Alexander also focused on maintaining control over the strategically important region of Asia Minor. The Persian Empire, with its vast territories and powerful military, was a looming threat to Macedon's expansionist ambitions. Alexander's campaigns in Asia Minor were designed to secure the western frontiers and establish a foothold for future conquests. His victories in the region were instrumental in setting the stage for his subsequent campaigns against the Persian Empire. In addition to military efforts, Alexander implemented administrative reforms to strengthen his control over the newly acquired territories. He established garrisons and appointed loyal officials to oversee the regions, ensuring that they were governed efficiently and in line with Macedonian interests. Alexander's early reign was marked by a series of decisive actions that established his authority and secured his empire. His ability to address internal dissent, manage external threats, and implement strategic reforms laid the groundwork for his future successes. As he consolidated his power, Alexander's vision of a unified and expansive empire began to take shape, setting the stage for the legendary conquests that would define his legacy. Following his consolidation of power within Macedon, Alexander the Great turned his attention towards the northern and eastern frontiers, where the Thracians posed a significant threat. The Thracians, a fierce and unruly group of tribes, were known for their independence and resistance to Macedonian authority. Their strategic location and hostile tendencies made them a critical concern for Alexander's newly established reign. In the summer of 335 BCE, Alexander launched a meticulously planned campaign against the Thracians. His strategy was twofold: to subdue the tribes through military force and to secure alliances with local leaders. Alexander's military approach combined his father Philip's innovative tactics with his own strategic brilliance. He employed a series of swift, targeted strikes designed to overwhelm the Thracian forces and dismantle their resistance. The campaign was marked by a series of decisive battles and sieges. Alexander's forces, renowned for their discipline and effectiveness, engaged the Thracians in several key confrontations. The Macedonian army's superior tactics and well-coordinated maneuvers led to a series of victories that weakened the Thracian resistance. Alexander's leadership during these battles demonstrated his capacity to inspire his troops and execute complex military operations with precision. The success of the campaign was not solely due to military prowess. Alexander also engaged in diplomacy, forging alliances with local Thracian chieftains and integrating their forces into his own. This strategic alliance building helped to consolidate Macedonian control over the region and ensured that the Thracian territories were firmly under Macedonian influence. With the northern and eastern frontiers secured, Alexander turned his attention to the Greek city-state of Thebes, which had recently rebelled against Macedonian authority. Thebes, once a staunch ally of Macedon, had joined other Greek city-states in defying Alexander's rule. The rebellion presented a direct challenge to Alexander's efforts to maintain control over Greece. In the winter of 335 BCE, Alexander launched a comprehensive military campaign to quell the rebellion. The siege of Thebes was a pivotal moment in Alexander's early reign. The city, fortified and determined to resist, presented a formidable challenge. Alexander's approach to the siege was methodical and ruthless, reflecting his determination to assert Macedonian dominance. The siege began with a blockade designed to cut off supplies and reinforcements to the city. Alexander's forces constructed siege works and employed various tactics to breach the city's defenses. The battle that followed was intense, with Alexander's troops facing fierce resistance from the Thebans. Despite their valor, the Thebans were ultimately overwhelmed by the superior Macedonian forces. The fall of Thebes was swift and brutal. Alexander's decision to make an example of the city sent a clear message to other Greek city-states about the consequences of rebellion. The city was thoroughly sacked, and its inhabitants were either killed or sold into slavery. The destruction of Thebes served as a warning and a demonstration of Alexander's resolve to maintain order within his empire. With the rebellion in Thebes crushed and the northern territories secured, Alexander turned to the task of consolidating his power throughout Greece. His campaign against the Thracians and the suppression of the Theban revolt were critical steps in establishing Macedonian hegemony. However, the stability of his rule depended on solidifying his influence over the Greek city-states and ensuring their loyalty. Alexander's approach to consolidation involved a combination of military presence, political maneuvering, and strategic alliances. He established Macedonian garrisons in key cities and appointed loyal officials to oversee the administration of the territories. These measures helped to ensure that the Greek city-states remained under Macedonian control and were integrated into the broader empire. Alexander also worked to strengthen his position through diplomatic channels. He engaged in negotiations with various Greek leaders and city-states, offering them favorable terms in exchange for their allegiance. This diplomatic approach, combined with his military successes, helped to secure Macedonian dominance over Greece. The consolidation of power was further reinforced by Alexander's efforts to promote a sense of unity and shared purpose within his empire. He sought to present himself not just as a conqueror but as a leader who could bring stability and prosperity to the Greek world. His vision of a unified empire, blending Greek and Eastern cultures, began to take shape as he continued his campaigns and expanded his influence. Alexander's first campaign marked a critical phase in his early reign, setting the stage for his subsequent conquests and achievements. The successes against the Thracians, the suppression of Thebes, and the consolidation of power in Greece demonstrated Alexander's strategic brilliance and his ability to navigate the complex political landscape of his time. As he looked towards new horizons, his early victories laid the foundation for the legendary conquests that would define his legacy. In 334 BCE, Alexander the Great set his sights on the Persian Empire, the vast and formidable realm that stretched from the Aegean Sea to the Indus River. The Persian Empire, under the rule of King Darius III, was a rich and powerful state, but it was also fraught with internal strife and challenges. For Alexander, the Persian Empire represented both a formidable adversary and an opportunity for unparalleled conquest. The Persian Empire's vast territory and immense wealth made it a prize worth pursuing. However, it was not without its weaknesses. The empire was a sprawling collection of diverse regions and peoples, bound together by a centralized but often distant authority. This diversity, coupled with internal dissent and political instability, presented an opportunity for Alexander to exploit the empire's vulnerabilities. The Persian Empire was also known for its formidable military forces, which included well-trained infantry, cavalry, and war elephants. Darius III's army was a significant challenge for Alexander, requiring careful planning and strategy. The Persian king's ability to mobilize vast resources and deploy them effectively made the conquest of Persia a daunting task. Alexander's strategic approach to the Persian Empire involved a combination of military brilliance, psychological warfare, and diplomatic maneuvering. His goal was to penetrate the Persian heartland and undermine Darius III's authority while leveraging the discontent among the Persian satraps and local rulers to his advantage. Alexander's campaign against the Persian Empire began with a decisive engagement at the Battle of Granicus, fought in May 334 BCE. The Granicus River, located in northwestern Asia Minor, marked the boundary between the Persian Empire and the Greek city-states. The battle was Alexander's first major confrontation with Persian forces and set the tone for his subsequent campaigns. The Battle of Granicus was a pivotal moment in Alexander's quest for conquest. The Persian forces, led by satraps from the region, sought to defend their territory and halt Alexander's advance. The Persian army included a mix of cavalry and infantry, and they were well prepared to face the Macedonian invaders. Alexander's approach to the battle was characterized by his bold and innovative tactics. He utilized the Macedonian phalanx formation to its full advantage, with his heavy cavalry units executing a series of flanking maneuvers to outmaneuver the Persian forces. The battle was fierce and bloody, with intense fighting on both sides. Despite the challenges, Alexander's forces emerged victorious. The Persian army was decisively defeated, and the battle marked a significant turning point in Alexander's campaign. The victory at Granicus demonstrated Alexander's military prowess and his ability to lead his troops to success against a powerful adversary. The aftermath of the Battle of Granicus had far-reaching implications. The victory provided Alexander with a foothold in Asia Minor and bolstered his reputation as a military leader. It also demonstrated the effectiveness of Macedonian tactics and the vulnerability of the Persian forces. With the victory at Granicus, Alexander moved swiftly to consolidate his control over Asia Minor. The region, rich in resources and strategically important, was crucial for securing the western frontiers of his empire and preparing for further campaigns into the heartland of Persia. Alexander's approach to consolidating control in Asia Minor involved a combination of military action and diplomatic engagement. He sought to integrate the region into his growing empire by establishing garrisons, forging alliances with local rulers, and addressing the concerns of the local populations. One of Alexander's key strategies was to exploit the discontent among the Greek city-states in Asia Minor. Many of these city-states had long been subject to Persian control and were eager for a change in leadership. Alexander's policy of liberating these cities from Persian rule earned him the support of the local populations and helped to secure his control over the region. Alexander also implemented administrative reforms to stabilize and govern the newly acquired territories. He appointed loyal officers and administrators to oversee the administration of the region and ensure that it was governed in accordance with Macedonian interests. These reforms helped to integrate the region into the broader structure of Alexander's empire and promote stability. The consolidation of Asia Minor marked an important phase in Alexander's campaign. The region's strategic location and resources were crucial for supporting future military operations and establishing a secure base for further conquests. Alexander's success in Asia Minor demonstrated his ability to navigate complex political and military challenges and set the stage for his continued expansion into the Persian heartland. As Alexander prepared for the next phase of his campaign, his victories and administrative achievements in Asia Minor strengthened his position and bolstered his reputation as a conqueror. The crossing of the Hellespont and the subsequent victories laid the foundation for the legendary conquests that would define Alexander's remarkable legacy. Following his successful campaign in Asia Minor, Alexander the Great set his sights on a more ambitious objective, confronting the Persian Empire head-on. The next major confrontation was to be the Battle of Issus, fought in November 333 BCE. This battle would prove to be a defining moment in Alexander's campaign against Persia. The Persian Empire, under King Darius III, was determined to halt Alexander's advance into the heartland of Persia. The Battle of Issus took place in a narrow coastal plain between the mountains and the Mediterranean Sea, a location that would significantly influence the course of the battle. The terrain was crucial, as it limited the mobility of the larger Persian army and played to the strengths of Alexander's forces. Alexander's strategic planning for the Battle of Issus was meticulous. He carefully chose the battlefield to maximize his advantages and exploit the weaknesses of the Persian forces. The narrow pass prevented Darius from fully deploying his army, which included a substantial number of cavalry and war elephants. By choosing this location, Alexander aimed to neutralize the numerical superiority of the Persian forces and create a situation where his superior tactics and disciplined troops could prevail. Alexander's forces were well prepared for the battle. His army, though smaller in number, was composed of experienced soldiers, including the elite Macedonian phalanx and heavy cavalry units. Alexander's plan involved a direct and aggressive attack to break the Persian lines and target the Persian command structure. His approach emphasized speed, surprise, and the exploitation of the enemy's vulnerabilities. As the battle commenced, Alexander's forces engaged the Persian army with determination and precision. The Persian army, led by Darius III, was initially confident in its superiority, but the narrow battlefield quickly turned the tide in Alexander's favor. The battle was intense and chaotic, with fierce fighting on multiple fronts. Alexander's tactical brilliance was evident in his execution of the battle plan. He deployed his troops in a way that effectively countered the Persian numerical advantage. The Macedonian phalanx, with its long spears and tight formation, held the center while Alexander's cavalry conducted a series of flanking maneuvers to disrupt the Persian lines. One of the key moments in the battle was Alexander's direct confrontation with Darius III. As the battle raged on, Alexander's forces pressed forward with relentless determination. Darius, initially confident in his position, was forced to confront the reality of the Macedonian assault. The Persian king's decision to personally lead his forces in a bid to turn the tide of the battle highlighted the desperate nature of his situation. The battle reached a critical point when Alexander's forces broke through the Persian lines and advanced towards Darius himself. The Persian king, faced with the possibility of being captured or killed, made the fateful decision to retreat. The sight of Darius fleeing the battlefield demoralized his troops and led to a rout of the Persian forces. The Macedonian victory at Issus was decisive and significant. Alexander's ability to outmaneuver and outfight the Persian army demonstrated his military genius and solidified his reputation as a formidable commander. The defeat of Darius III marked a turning point in the campaign, signaling a shift in the balance of power in favor of Alexander. The aftermath of the Battle of Issus was a period of consolidation and strategic advantage for Alexander. The victory not only secured a significant military triumph but also had far-reaching political and psychological effects. In the immediate aftermath of the battle, Alexander's forces pursued the fleeing Persian army and seized valuable territory. The victory provided Alexander with control over a crucial portion of the Persian Empire, including the important coastal city of Tyre. This strategic gain allowed Alexander to establish a foothold in the region and prepare for further operations. The capture of the Persian royal family and Darius's personal effects during the battle was a significant symbolic victory. Alexander's possession of Darius's family and treasures further undermined Persian morale and demonstrated his dominance over the Persian king. This capture also allowed Alexander to project an image of both power and magnanimity, as he treated the captured Persian royal family with respect. Politically, the victory at Issus reinforced Alexander's position as a leader capable of challenging the might of the Persian Empire. It bolstered his reputation among the Greek city-states and his own Macedonian subjects, solidifying his role as a unifying figure in the campaign against Persia. The battle also had a profound impact on the Persian Empire's internal dynamics. The defeat of Darius III and the subsequent loss of territory created a power vacuum and contributed to further instability within the empire. This internal strife would weaken the Persian response to Alexander's subsequent campaigns. Alexander's success at Issus set the stage for his continued expansion and conquests. The victory demonstrated his ability to overcome significant challenges and positioned him as a dominant force in the region. As Alexander prepared for the next phase of his campaign, the Battle of Issus remained a testament to his strategic brilliance and the growing legend of his military achievements. The Siege of Tyre, which took place from January to July 332 BCE, was one of the most challenging and remarkable campaigns of Alexander the Great's military career. Tyre, a fortified island city off the coast of Phoenicia, modern-day Lebanon, was renowned for its strong defenses and strategic location. The city's resistance to Alexander's advance tested his strategic ingenuity and engineering capabilities. Tyre's fortifications were formidable. The city was surrounded by a massive wall, and its location on an island provided an additional layer of protection against land-based attacks. The challenge for Alexander was not only to breach these defenses but also to overcome the logistical difficulties of conducting a siege on an island. Alexander's approach to the siege was marked by his innovative use of engineering and siege tactics. Recognizing the necessity of breaching the city's defenses, Alexander undertook a massive engineering project to construct a causeway from the mainland to the island. This ambitious endeavor involved the construction of a massive embankment that extended over a kilometer into the sea. The construction of the causeway was a monumental feat of engineering. Alexander's engineers and laborers worked tirelessly to create a stable and fortified pathway. The causeway allowed Alexander's forces to move siege equipment, including battering rams and towers, closer to the city walls. The use of siege towers, equipped with battering rams, was critical for assaulting the city's defenses. Despite the challenges, Alexander's engineering efforts proved successful. The causeway enabled the Macedonian forces to bring their siege equipment into close proximity to Tyre's walls. This strategic advantage was crucial in mounting a sustained and effective assault on the city. While Alexander's military efforts were focused on the siege itself, his diplomatic maneuvers played a significant role in shaping the outcome of the campaign. Alexander's approach to diplomacy involved both forging alliances and applying pressure on regional powers to support his cause. Prior to the siege, Alexander engaged in diplomatic efforts to isolate Tyre and weaken its position. He sought to negotiate with other Phoenician city-states and regional powers to limit Tyre's ability to receive reinforcements and supplies. This diplomatic pressure was aimed at creating a favorable environment for the siege and reducing Tyre's external support. Alexander also attempted to leverage his victories and reputation to gain support from local rulers. He sought to convince neighboring cities and states of the benefits of aligning with his campaign. By showcasing his military successes and offering favorable terms, Alexander aimed to build a coalition that would strengthen his position and isolate Tyre. One of the key diplomatic maneuvers involved Alexander's efforts to gain the support of the local population. He sought to create divisions within the city and exploit any internal dissent. His strategic use of propaganda and psychological warfare was designed to undermine the resolve of Tyre's defenders and sow discord within the city. Despite these efforts, Tyre remained resilient and steadfast in its resistance. The city's defenders were determined to hold out against Alexander's siege, and diplomatic negotiations ultimately proved less effective than anticipated. The resistance of Tyre's inhabitants and the city's strong defenses posed significant challenges for Alexander's campaign. The protracted siege of Tyre reached its climax in July 332 BCE, following months of intense and determined effort. The fall of Tyre was a decisive moment in Alexander's campaign, marking the culmination of his strategic and engineering efforts. After months of relentless attacks and siege operations, Alexander's forces finally breached the city's defenses. The combined impact of the causeway, the use of siege equipment, and the sustained pressure from Alexander's forces proved overwhelming for the defenders. The Macedonian army mounted a final assault on the city, pushing through the weakened defenses and entering Tyre. The fall of Tyre was marked by intense fighting and significant casualties on both sides. The city was subjected to a brutal and thorough sack, with Alexander's forces taking control of the urban center. The aftermath of the siege was characterized by destruction and the subjugation of the city's inhabitants. Many of Tyre's residents were killed or taken captive, and the city itself was left in ruins. The victory at Tyre was a significant achievement for Alexander, both strategically and symbolically. The conquest of Tyre demonstrated his ability to overcome formidable defenses and achieve a decisive victory in a challenging campaign. The capture of Tyre also provided Alexander with control over a key port city and a strategic base for further operations in the eastern Mediterranean. The fall of Tyre had far-reaching implications for Alexander's campaign. It solidified his control over the region and enhanced his reputation as a formidable military leader. The victory also contributed to the broader consolidation of Macedonian power in the eastern Mediterranean and set the stage for future conquests. As Alexander's forces celebrated their hard-won victory, the siege of Tyre stood as a testament to his strategic brilliance, engineering ingenuity, and relentless determination. The successful conclusion of the siege marked a key milestone in Alexander's campaign and paved the way for his continued expansion and conquest. Following his victory at Tyre and subsequent campaigns, Alexander the Great turned his attention to Egypt, a region of strategic and cultural significance. In 332 BCE, Alexander's arrival in Egypt marked the beginning of a new chapter in his conquests, one that would leave a lasting legacy in the ancient world. Upon entering Egypt, Alexander was greeted as a liberator by the local population, who were eager to be freed from Persian rule. The Egyptians viewed Alexander as a hero, and his arrival was met with widespread enthusiasm. Recognizing the strategic importance of Egypt as a key base for his campaign and a gateway to further expansion, Alexander sought to establish a lasting presence in the region. One of Alexander's most notable achievements in Egypt was the founding of the city of Alexandria. The site for Alexandria was chosen on the Mediterranean coast, at a location that offered both a natural harbor and access to key trade routes. The city was strategically positioned to serve as a major port and a hub for commerce, culture, and military operations. The founding of Alexandria was a monumental undertaking. Alexander envisioned a city that would embody the ideals of Greek culture and serve as a symbol of Macedonian power and influence. The city was designed with a grid layout, featuring wide streets, impressive public buildings, and a bustling marketplace. Alexandria quickly grew into a vibrant and cosmopolitan center, attracting scholars, artists, and traders from across the Mediterranean world. Alexander's decision to build Alexandria was not only a strategic move but also a cultural one. The city became a melting pot of Greek, Egyptian, and other cultural influences, reflecting the diverse nature of Alexander's empire. Alexandria's foundation was a testament to Alexander's vision of creating a lasting legacy that would bridge the gap between East and West. Upon arriving in Egypt, Alexander also embraced the local customs and religious practices, which played a crucial role in solidifying his position and gaining the loyalty of the Egyptian people. The Egyptians, who held a deep reverence for their gods and divine rulers, saw Alexander as a figure of immense significance. Alexander's recognition of Egyptian religious traditions was a strategic move to align himself with the local culture and enhance his legitimacy. He adopted the titles and symbols of Egyptian royalty, presenting himself as a divine figure in accordance with Egyptian beliefs. This approach not only endeared him to the local population but also reinforced his status as a ruler with a divine mandate. Alexander's divine status in Egypt was further solidified by his association with the gods of the region. He was depicted in Egyptian art and inscriptions as a god-king, and his actions were often interpreted as signs of divine favor. This divine association helped to legitimize Alexander's rule and fostered a sense of unity and loyalty among the Egyptian people. The recognition of Alexander's divine status had a profound impact on his relationship with the local population. By aligning himself with Egyptian religious traditions, Alexander was able to gain the support of influential priests and religious leaders, who played a key role in maintaining order and stability in the region. One of the most significant events during Alexander's time in Egypt was his journey to the Oracle of Ammon at Siwa Oasis. The Oracle of Ammon, located in the remote desert oasis, was a revered and ancient religious site where seekers of divine guidance came to receive prophetic revelations. Alexander's visit to the Oracle of Ammon was driven by his desire to gain further divine endorsement and reaffirm his legitimacy as a ruler. The journey to Siwa was both arduous and symbolic, reflecting Alexander's determination to seek divine approval and strengthen his position as a ruler of great significance. Upon reaching the oracle, Alexander sought confirmation of his divine status and guidance for his future endeavors. The oracle's response was both enigmatic and affirming. Alexander was proclaimed as the son of Ammon, a title that reinforced his divine status and connected him with the gods of the Egyptian pantheon. The pronouncement from the Oracle of Ammon had far-reaching implications for Alexander's rule. It bolstered his reputation as a divinely ordained leader and provided a powerful symbol of his authority. The oracle's endorsement also had a profound impact on Alexander's followers and subjects, further solidifying his position as a ruler with a divine mandate. Alexander's interaction with the oracle of Ammon was a testament to his understanding of the importance of religious and cultural symbolism in consolidating his power. By embracing the religious traditions of the regions he conquered, Alexander was able to forge stronger connections with his subjects and enhance his legitimacy as a ruler. The journey to the Oracle of Ammon and the subsequent endorsement of his divine status marked a pivotal moment in Alexander's Egyptian campaign. It reflected his strategic acumen and his ability to navigate the complex interplay of culture, religion, and politics. As Alexander continued his conquests, the legacy of his time in Egypt and his association with the divine would remain an integral part of his enduring legacy. The Battle of Gaugamela, fought on October 1, 331 BCE, was one of the most significant and decisive engagements in Alexander the Great's military career. This battle, which took place near the village of Gaugamela in present-day Iraq, was a culmination of Alexander's campaign against the Persian Empire and showcased his unparalleled tactical genius. Alexander's approach to the battle was marked by his ability to adapt and innovate. Prior to the engagement, he conducted extensive reconnaissance of the battlefield and assessed the strengths and weaknesses of the Persian forces. The terrain at Gaugamela was relatively flat, which allowed for large-scale maneuvers and favored Alexander's strategic flexibility. One of Alexander's most notable tactical maneuvers was his use of a highly effective phalanx formation combined with a dynamic cavalry deployment. The Macedonian phalanx, with its long spears and tightly packed formation, formed the core of Alexander's infantry. To counter the Persian cavalry and war elephants, Alexander deployed his own cavalry on the flanks and center, using them to create openings and exploit weaknesses in the Persian lines. Alexander's strategy also involved feigned retreats and deceptive maneuvers to draw the Persian forces into unfavorable positions. His ability to quickly adapt to changing circumstances on the battlefield and make real-time adjustments to his tactics demonstrated his exceptional military acumen. Another key aspect of Alexander's strategy was his use of the terrain to his advantage. By positioning his forces on high ground and using the open field to their advantage, Alexander was able to create a tactical environment that maximized the effectiveness of his troops and minimized the impact of the Persian numerical superiority. The Battle of Gaugamela was a clash of titans, with Alexander's forces facing off against the Persian Empire's vast and well-equipped army led by King Darius III. Despite the Persian numerical advantage and the presence of war elephants, Alexander's tactical brilliance and the discipline of his troops proved decisive. Darius III's strategy at Gaugamela was initially designed to leverage his superior numbers and the strength of his war elephants. The Persian king sought to overwhelm Alexander with a large and diverse force, including a significant contingent of cavalry and chariots. However, Alexander's tactical deployment and superior maneuverability allowed him to counter these advantages effectively. The battle unfolded with fierce combat as Alexander's forces engaged the Persian lines. The Macedonian phalanx, with its tight formation and long spears, held the center while Alexander's cavalry conducted a series of flanking maneuvers. The use of feigned retreats and rapid adjustments to the battle plan allowed Alexander to draw the Persian forces into vulnerable positions. One of the pivotal moments of the battle was Alexander's direct assault on Darius III. As Alexander's forces broke through the Persian lines, Darius was forced to confront the reality of his situation. The Persian king's decision to retreat, along with the collapse of his army, marked a significant turning point in the battle. Darius III's defeat at Gaugamela was a crushing blow to the Persian Empire. The loss of the battle not only led to the collapse of the Persian army but also significantly weakened Darius's hold on the empire. The retreat of Darius III and the subsequent pursuit by Alexander's forces further undermined Persian authority and contributed to the unraveling of the empire. The Battle of Gaugamela marked the beginning of the end for the Persian Empire. The defeat of Darius III and the collapse of the Persian army had profound implications for the empire and its future. Following the battle, Alexander's forces continued their advance into Persian territory, capitalizing on the disarray caused by the defeat at Gaugamela. The conquest of key Persian cities and the pursuit of Darius III further solidified Alexander's control over the region. The fall of Babylon and Susa, two major Persian cities, signaled the effective collapse of the Persian administrative and military structure. The defeat at Gaugamela also led to the fragmentation of the Persian Empire. With Darius III's authority severely undermined, regional satraps and governors began to assert their independence. The lack of a unified central authority made it difficult for the Persian Empire to mount a cohesive resistance against Alexander's advancing forces. Alexander's victory at Gaugamela established him as the uncontested ruler of the Persian Empire. The fall of the empire was marked by Alexander's assumption of control over its vast territories and the incorporation of Persian lands into his growing empire. The conquest of Persia was a monumental achievement that expanded Alexander's influence and solidified his legacy as one of history's greatest conquerors. The Battle of Gaugamela remains a testament to Alexander's tactical brilliance and his ability to overcome formidable challenges. The defeat of the Persian Empire and the subsequent consolidation of Alexander's power marked a defining moment in his career and set the stage for the continued expansion of his empire across the ancient world. After securing his control over the Persian Empire, Alexander the Great turned his attention eastward, aiming to expand his dominion further into Central Asia. His campaigns in this region were driven by a combination of strategic ambition and the desire to explore and conquer new territories. Alexander's advance into Central Asia began with the conquest of the region known as Bactria, which includes parts of modern-day Afghanistan, Uzbekistan, and Tajikistan. Bactria was a significant and wealthy region, with its strategic location and rich resources making it a valuable addition to Alexander's empire. The campaign in Central Asia presented a series of challenges for Alexander's forces. The terrain was varied, ranging from mountainous regions to arid deserts, and the local populations were known for their fierce resistance. Alexander's military strategy involved leveraging his superior tactics and adapting to the challenges of the terrain. One of the key aspects of Alexander's campaign in Central Asia was his ability to forge alliances with local rulers and tribes. By securing the support of regional leaders, Alexander was able to extend his influence and gain valuable intelligence about the region. These alliances were crucial in overcoming local resistance and consolidating his control over newly conquered territories. Alexander's campaigns in Central Asia were characterized by a series of decisive battles and sieges. His forces faced off against local armies and city-states, employing a combination of traditional Macedonian tactics and innovative strategies. The successful conquest of Bactria and surrounding regions marked a significant expansion of Alexander's empire and demonstrated his ability to adapt to diverse challenges. Following his successes in Central Asia, Alexander turned his gaze toward the Indian subcontinent, seeking to further extend his empire into one of the world's most ancient and diverse regions. The campaign in India began with Alexander's crossing of the Indus River, which marked the beginning of a new phase in his conquests. The Indian campaign was driven by both strategic and exploratory motivations. Alexander was eager to conquer new territories and establish his dominance over the Indian kingdoms. The region's wealth and strategic location made it an attractive target for further expansion. One of the primary challenges Alexander faced in India was the diversity and complexity of the Indian political landscape. The Indian subcontinent was home to a variety of kingdoms and tribes, each with its own political dynamics and military capabilities. Alexander's strategy involved a combination of direct military action and diplomatic negotiations to secure his objectives. The Indian campaign saw a series of battles and skirmishes as Alexander's forces encountered resistance from local rulers. Despite the challenges, Alexander's military prowess and strategic acumen enabled him to achieve significant victories and secure control over key regions. One of the most significant and memorable engagements of Alexander's Indian campaign was the Battle of the Hydaspes, fought on May 326 BCE. The battle took place near the Hydaspes River, in what is now modern-day Punjab, Pakistan. It was a crucial confrontation between Alexander's army and the forces of King Porus, the ruler of the region. The Battle of the Hydaspes was marked by several notable features that showcased Alexander's tactical ingenuity. The river itself posed a significant challenge, as it was swollen with monsoon rains and created natural barriers for both armies. Alexander's forces had to cross the river to engage the enemy, and the crossing was a complex and risky maneuver. Alexander's strategy for the battle involved a combination of surprise and precision. He executed a bold and unexpected river crossing, catching Porus's forces off guard. The Macedonian army utilized their superior mobility and disciplined formations to gain an advantage over the larger Indian force. The battle was fiercely contested, with both sides demonstrating remarkable bravery and tactical skill. Alexander's forces faced a determined resistance from Porus's well-equipped army, which included war elephants. The Macedonian army's adaptability and coordination allowed them to counter the challenges posed by the elephants and secure a decisive victory. The outcome of the Battle of the Hydaspes had significant consequences for the Indian campaign. Alexander's victory led to the capture of King Porus, who was subsequently treated with respect and reinstated as a local ruler under Macedonian suzerainty. This diplomatic approach helped to integrate the region into Alexander's empire and solidify his control over the Indian territories. The battle also marked the easternmost extent of Alexander's conquests. After the victory at the Hydaspes, Alexander faced increasing pressure from his troops, who were eager to return home after years of campaigning. The decision to turn back from India was influenced by both logistical challenges and the desire to address the growing unrest among his men. The Eastern campaigns, including the Battle of the Hydaspes, demonstrated Alexander's military brilliance and his ability to adapt to diverse and challenging environments. The successful expansion into Central Asia and India marked a significant chapter in Alexander's conquests, highlighting his ambition and strategic vision. After the monumental successes of his eastern campaigns, Alexander the Great returned to Babylon in 323 BCE with a renewed focus on consolidating and administering his vast empire. Babylon, with its strategic location and historical significance, was chosen as the new capital of Alexander's empire. The decision to establish Babylon as the capital was driven by its central position within the empire, its status as a historical cultural hub, and its potential to serve as a symbol of unity and strength. Upon his return, Alexander embarked on a series of ambitious projects to transform Babylon into the grand capital of his empire. The city, already known for its impressive infrastructure and monumental architecture, was to be further developed to reflect Alexander's vision of a unified and powerful empire. One of Alexander's key projects was the construction of a grand palace complex that would serve as his royal residence and administrative center. The palace was designed to be a symbol of Alexander's authority and the center of governance for his empire. In addition to the palace, Alexander initiated the construction of monumental buildings, including temples, public squares, and impressive city walls. The transformation of Babylon was not limited to architectural developments. Alexander also undertook the expansion and improvement of the city's infrastructure, including the construction of new roads, canals, and aqueducts. These improvements were aimed at enhancing the city's functionality and ensuring its ability to support the administrative and economic needs of the empire. As Alexander sought to consolidate his control over his vast empire, he recognized the need for effective administrative reforms to manage the diverse territories and peoples under his rule. His approach to governance involved a combination of innovative reforms and strategic adaptations to local customs and practices. One of Alexander's major administrative reforms was the reorganization of the empire's satrapies, or provinces. He implemented a system of provincial governance that aimed to streamline administration and enhance the efficiency of local rule. The satrapies were reorganized to create a more coherent and manageable administrative structure, with appointed officials responsible for overseeing regional affairs. Alexander also introduced reforms to integrate local administrative practices with Macedonian governance structures. By incorporating elements of existing administrative systems and adapting them to fit the broader framework of his empire, Alexander sought to create a governance model that was both effective and sensitive to local traditions. Another significant aspect of Alexander's administrative reforms was the promotion of merit-based appointments and the incorporation of diverse personnel into his administration. He sought to ensure that capable and qualified individuals were placed in key positions, regardless of their background or origin. This approach aimed to enhance the effectiveness of governance and foster a sense of inclusivity within the empire. Alexander's empire was a vast and culturally diverse entity, encompassing a wide range of peoples, traditions, and languages. To ensure the stability and unity of his empire, Alexander recognized the importance of integrating and harmonizing these diverse cultures. One of Alexander's key strategies for cultural integration was the promotion of cultural exchange and interaction. He encouraged the blending of Greek and local customs, fostering a sense of shared identity and mutual respect among his subjects. This approach was reflected in various aspects of daily life, including art, architecture, and religious practices. The establishment of Babylon as the capital also played a significant role in the integration of diverse cultures. The city became a melting pot of different cultures and traditions, with Greek, Persian, Babylonian, and Egyptian influences converging to create a unique cultural environment. The integration of diverse cultural elements was reflected in the architecture, art, and public spaces of the city. Alexander also promoted the marriage of his soldiers and officials to local women, further facilitating cultural integration. These marriages served as a means of creating alliances and fostering closer ties between different groups within the empire. The blending of cultures through these unions helped to bridge gaps and create a more cohesive and interconnected empire. The integration of diverse cultures was not without challenges. Alexander faced resistance from some local populations who were wary of foreign influence and cultural changes. However, his policies and efforts to respect and incorporate local traditions helped to mitigate tensions and build a sense of unity within the empire. The return to Babylon marked a critical phase in Alexander's reign, characterized by efforts to consolidate and administer his vast empire. The establishment of Babylon as the capital, the implementation of administrative reforms, and the integration of diverse cultures were key components of Alexander's vision for a unified and prosperous empire. His accomplishments in this period demonstrated his ability to adapt and innovate, shaping the future of his empire and leaving a lasting legacy in the ancient world. As Alexander the Great solidified his control over the Persian Empire and the regions to the east, he began to set his sights on further conquests, driven by a vision of extending his empire to its greatest possible extent. His ambitions were not merely limited to the territories he had already acquired. Instead, Alexander was determined to push the boundaries of his empire even further. One of Alexander's major goals was the conquest of the Arabian Peninsula. He saw the strategic and economic potential of the region, with its trade routes and resources. Plans for an invasion were formulated, involving extensive preparations, including logistical arrangements, troop movements, and intelligence gathering. Alexander envisioned establishing new cities and fortresses in Arabia to secure his empire's southern frontier. In addition to Arabia, Alexander aimed to explore and conquer regions beyond the Indus River, reaching into the areas of present-day Pakistan and northern India. He sought to expand his empire to the east, capitalizing on the momentum of his previous successes. His vision included further exploration and potential conquests into regions such as the Himalayas and beyond, reflecting his desire to push the limits of known geography. Alexander's plans for further conquests were characterized by his strategic and ambitious mindset. He meticulously prepared for new campaigns, drawing on his previous experiences and the lessons learned from his earlier battles. His ability to inspire and mobilize his army was crucial in sustaining the momentum of his campaigns and pursuing new territories. The drive for further conquests and the challenges of administering a vast empire led to growing tensions between Alexander and some of his key officers. The internal conflicts within Alexander's ranks were a significant challenge, impacting the cohesion and effectiveness of his administration and military. One of the major sources of conflict was Alexander's decision to introduce Persian customs and practices into the Macedonian administration. Some of his officers and soldiers, who were deeply rooted in Greek and Macedonian traditions, resisted these changes and viewed them as foreign impositions. The adoption of Persian dress, titles, and rituals created friction among Alexander's inner circle and the Macedonian troops. The tension between Alexander and his officers was further exacerbated by disagreements over military strategy and the direction of future campaigns. Some officers were apprehensive about the feasibility and risks associated with Alexander's ambitious plans for further conquests. Their concerns were often voiced in private and, in some cases, led to open disputes and challenges to Alexander's authority. The most notable conflict arose with the general and trusted advisor, Clitus the Black, who publicly criticized Alexander's policies and decisions. Clitus's outspoken opposition and subsequent execution underscored the growing discord within Alexander's ranks. The internal strife and dissent among his officers revealed the complexities of maintaining loyalty and unity within a rapidly expanding empire. Alexander's efforts to consolidate his empire and secure his rule included political maneuvers, such as marriage alliances, designed to strengthen ties with local rulers and integrate diverse cultures. One of the most significant of these alliances was his marriage to Roxana, the daughter of a noble Bactrian family. The marriage to Roxana was part of Alexander's broader strategy to legitimize his rule over newly conquered territories and foster relationships with local elites. The union was intended to symbolize the blending of Greek and Persian cultures and to strengthen the loyalty of his eastern subjects. Roxana's marriage to Alexander was also a strategic move to solidify his control over Bactria and the surrounding regions. However, the marriage alliance was not without its complications. The political dynamics surrounding the marriage created tensions and rivalries among Alexander's officers and advisors. The favoritism shown to Roxana and her family led to resentment among other factions within Alexander's court. This political strife was exacerbated by the competing interests of various regional rulers and the complex web of alliances and rivalries. The internal conflicts and political strife reached a boiling point when Alexander sought to implement policies that favored Persian practices and culture. These changes, intended to integrate and unify his empire, were met with resistance from Macedonian nobles and military leaders. The tensions between traditional Macedonian values and the adoption of Persian customs created a volatile environment within the court. The combination of personal rivalries, political strife, and cultural tensions contributed to the challenges Alexander faced in maintaining control over his empire. Despite his efforts to address these issues and navigate the complex political landscape, the internal conflicts and discord among his officers posed a significant threat to the stability and cohesion of his administration. The chapter on the ambitions of empire reflects Alexander the Great's relentless pursuit of expansion and the challenges he faced in managing his diverse and rapidly growing empire. His plans for further conquests, conflicts with his own officers, and the political strife surrounding his marriage alliance all played a crucial role in shaping the latter part of his reign and the legacy he left behind. By the time Alexander the Great reached the heights of his conquests, his troops, who had followed him through countless battles and arduous campaigns, began to voice their growing discontent. The demands of the Macedonian troops were driven by several factors, including the prolonged duration of their military service, the harsh conditions of the campaigns, and the ever-increasing distance from their homeland. The soldiers had been away from Macedon for many years, far longer than initially anticipated. The continuous military engagements, coupled with the harsh and unfamiliar environments they encountered, took a significant toll on their morale and well-being. The troops were also frustrated by the lack of clear communication regarding their future and the direction of Alexander's campaigns. One of the primary demands from the troops was a desire to return home. They had been promised rewards and land for their service, but these promises remained unfulfilled or were not fully realized. The soldiers were eager to return to their families and reclaim their lives, and the prospect of continuing to fight in distant lands without a clear end in sight was increasingly untenable for them. Additionally, the growing cultural and administrative changes imposed by Alexander, including the adoption of Persian customs and practices, further alienated the Macedonian troops. Many soldiers resented the perceived shift in their traditional Macedonian values and felt that their contributions were being overshadowed by foreign influences. The Indian campaign, while a testament to Alexander's military genius, had a profound impact on his troops. The campaign in India was characterized by its extreme challenges, including difficult terrain, unfamiliar climate, and fierce resistance from local rulers. The Battle of the Hydaspes and subsequent engagements tested the limits of the Macedonian army and took a heavy toll on the soldiers. The Indian campaign was also marked by significant losses and casualties. The troops faced fierce resistance from local forces, including war elephants and well-equipped armies, which led to high casualties and strained the soldiers' endurance. The hardships of the campaign, combined with the sense of isolation from their homeland, contributed to growing discontent among the Macedonian ranks. Moreover, the campaign's logistical challenges and the difficulty of maintaining supply lines in the vast and unfamiliar Indian subcontinent exacerbated the soldiers' frustrations. The Macedonian troops were forced to endure difficult conditions, including scarcity of resources and exposure to unfamiliar diseases, which further diminished their morale. The decision to turn back from India was a direct response to the troops' demands and the realization that continuing the campaign was increasingly impractical. Alexander's acknowledgement of the soldiers' hardships and his eventual agreement to return home was an attempt to address their concerns and alleviate the growing unrest. The mounting dissatisfaction among the Macedonian troops eventually erupted into open rebellion. The soldiers, who had long harbored grievances about their conditions and the direction of the campaigns, began to openly defy Alexander's orders and challenge his authority. The rebellion was initially sparked by a mutiny at the riverbanks of the Beas River, where the soldiers gathered and refused to advance further into India. The troops expressed their frustration through protests and demonstrations, demanding immediate action to return to Macedon and receive the rewards promised to them. Alexander's response to the rebellion was marked by a combination of attempts at negotiation and displays of force. He sought to address the soldiers' grievances by promising to fulfill their rewards and offer additional incentives for their loyalty. However, the rebellion had already gained momentum, and the soldiers' demands for a return home were unwavering. The situation was further complicated by internal divisions among the troops. Some factions supported Alexander's leadership and sought to quell the rebellion, while others joined the mutineers in their demands. The internal strife within the army created a volatile and precarious environment, challenging Alexander's ability to maintain control over his forces. Alexander's efforts to quell the rebellion included punitive measures against the leaders of the mutiny and attempts to restore discipline among the ranks. Despite these efforts, the rebellion had a lasting impact on the morale and cohesion of the Macedonian army. The troops' dissatisfaction and the subsequent rebellion highlighted the challenges Alexander faced in managing his vast and diverse empire. The chapter on the revolt of the Macedonian troops reflects the complex dynamics of Alexander the Great's reign as he faced internal challenges within his own army. The demands of the troops, the impact of the Indian campaign, and the eventual rebellion underscored the difficulties of maintaining loyalty and control over a vast and diverse military force. The rebellion marked a turning point in Alexander's campaigns and had significant implications for the future of his empire. In the summer of 323 BCE, while Alexander the Great was at the height of his power, a mysterious illness began to afflict him. The onset of the illness was sudden and marked by a series of alarming symptoms. Initially, Alexander experienced severe fever, abdominal pain, and general weakness. His condition quickly deteriorated, with additional symptoms including chills, convulsions, and difficulty breathing. The exact nature of Alexander's illness has been the subject of much speculation and debate among historians and scholars. Various theories have been proposed, ranging from natural causes to deliberate poisoning. Some suggest that Alexander suffered from a form of malaria or typhoid fever, both of which were common in ancient Babylon. Others speculate that his illness could have been the result of an autoimmune disorder or a complex combination of infections. One popular theory is that Alexander was poisoned, either intentionally or as a consequence of a faulty remedy. The idea of poisoning is supported by historical accounts of Alexander's sudden and severe symptoms, which some contemporary sources claimed were consistent with poisoning. However, the rapid progression of his illness also raises the possibility of an acute disease or infection. Despite the uncertainty surrounding the exact cause of Alexander's illness, the impact on his health and leadership was undeniable. The severity of his symptoms rendered him unable to perform his duties, and he became increasingly reliant on his medical staff and advisors. As his condition worsened, the administration of his empire was left in a state of uncertainty and disarray. In the final days of his life, Alexander's condition continued to deteriorate. Historical accounts describe a man who was increasingly debilitated and in great distress. The once mighty conqueror was confined to his bed, his physical strength diminishing rapidly. Despite the efforts of his physicians and the presence of his closest advisors, Alexander's health showed no signs of improvement. During these last days, Alexander reportedly engaged in conversations with his trusted companions, discussing his wishes and the future of his empire. According to some accounts, he made a series of statements regarding his succession and the division of his empire, although the specifics of these conversations remain unclear. As his death approached, Alexander's condition became more critical. The fever intensified, and he began to experience profound weakness and delirium. The final moments of his life were marked by a sense of foreboding and uncertainty, both for Alexander himself and for those around him. The exact date of Alexander's death is not universally agreed upon, but it is commonly believed that he passed away on June 10 or 11, 323 BCE. The loss of Alexander the Great was a moment of profound grief and anxiety for his companions and subjects, who had come to regard him as a divine and invincible leader. The death of Alexander the Great triggered an immediate and intense succession crisis. With no clear successor named in his will and no direct heir prepared to assume the throne, the empire faced a tumultuous period of uncertainty and division. Alexander's death left a power vacuum that sparked a struggle among his generals, advisors, and family members. The most immediate issue was the question of who would succeed Alexander as ruler of the vast empire. His half-brother, Philippardius, was a potential candidate, but his mental incapacity and lack of political acumen made him an unsuitable choice for many. The other significant claimants included Alexander's infant son, Alexander IV, born posthumously to Alexander's wife, Roxana. The child's claim to the throne was contested by various factions, including Alexander's generals, who sought to assert their own authority and control over the empire. The power struggle that ensued led to a series of conflicts known as the Wars of the Diadochi, during which Alexander's former generals and satraps vied for control of different regions of the empire. The division of Alexander's empire into competing successor states marked the beginning of a prolonged period of fragmentation and conflict, as the once unified empire was torn apart by internal strife. The succession crisis also had a profound impact on the governance and stability of the empire. The lack of a clear and strong central authority led to widespread uncertainty and instability, as different factions and claimants sought to assert their dominance. The fragmentation of Alexander's empire set the stage for a series of regional conflicts and power struggles that would shape the political landscape of the ancient world for years to come. The chapter on Alexander's illness and death captures the dramatic and uncertain final moments of one of history's greatest conquerors. His mysterious illness, the poignant final days of his life, and the ensuing succession crisis reflect the profound impact of his passing on his empire and the broader historical context. Alexander's death marked the end of an era and the beginning of a turbulent period of division and conflict. Following Alexander the Great's death in 323 BCE, his vast empire, which stretched from Greece to the Indian subcontinent, was left in a state of fragmentation. The immediate aftermath of his death was marked by a power struggle among his generals and satraps, who sought to claim control over different regions of the empire. This period of turmoil and division became known as the Wars of the Diadochi. The empire was initially divided among Alexander's closest generals, known as the Diadochi. These included prominent figures such as Ptolemy, Seleucus, Antigonus, and Lysimachus, each of whom established control over various parts of the empire. Ptolemy I Soter took control of Egypt and established the Ptolemaic dynasty, which ruled Egypt for nearly 300 years. The city of Alexandria became a major cultural and intellectual hub under Ptolemy's reign. Seleucus I Nicator claimed the vast eastern territories, including Mesopotamia and Persia. He founded the Seleucid Empire, which became a significant power in the region and played a crucial role in the Hellenistic world. Antigonus I Monophthalmus initially controlled a significant portion of Anatolia and parts of the Aegean region. However, his ambitions led to conflicts with other Diadochi, and his dynasty was eventually defeated. Lysimachus took control of Thrace and parts of Asia Minor, establishing a dynasty that ruled over these regions for several decades. The fragmentation of Alexander's empire led to the creation of several successor states, each ruled by one of his former generals or their descendants. These states, while continuing to uphold elements of Greek culture and administration, also developed distinct political and cultural identities. The successor states of Alexander's empire were profoundly influenced by his legacy, both in terms of governance and cultural development. The Diadochi sought to consolidate their control and build upon the achievements of Alexander's conquests. One of the most significant influences was the spread of Hellenistic culture across the successor states. Alexander's conquests had introduced Greek culture, language, and ideas to vast regions, and his successors continued this cultural diffusion. Greek became the lingua franca of the Hellenistic world, and Greek art, architecture, and philosophy flourished in the successor states. In Egypt, the Ptolemaic dynasty established a flourishing center of learning and culture in Alexandria. The city became a beacon of scholarship, housing the great library of Alexandria and attracting scholars from across the Mediterranean. The Ptolemies embraced and adapted Egyptian traditions, blending them with Greek culture to create a unique Hellenistic Egyptian identity. The Seleucid Empire, with its capital in Antioch, served as a bridge between East and West, facilitating the exchange of ideas and goods. The Seleucids promoted Greek culture while also integrating elements of Persian and local traditions. The empire played a key role in the development of the Silk Road trade routes, linking the Mediterranean world with Central Asia and beyond. In Anatolia and Thrace, the regions controlled by Lysimachus and other Diadochi experienced a mixture of Greek and local influences. The establishment of Greek cities and the promotion of Hellenistic culture contributed to the region's integration into the broader Hellenistic world. The influence of Alexander's successors extended beyond culture and governance. The political structures and military organization established by Alexander were adopted and adapted by the successor states. The use of Greek-style administration and the maintenance of large, professional armies were key features of the Hellenistic states, reflecting Alexander's impact on the political and military landscape of the era. The legacy of Alexander the Great extends far beyond his immediate successors and their empires. His achievements had a profound and lasting impact on history and culture, shaping the course of the ancient world and influencing subsequent generations. Alexander's conquests facilitated the spread of Hellenistic culture and ideas, which had a lasting impact on the regions he conquered. The blending of Greek and local traditions created a rich cultural tapestry that influenced art, architecture, science, and philosophy. The Hellenistic period saw the rise of notable scholars and philosophers, such as Euclid, Archimedes, and Epicurus, whose works had a lasting influence on Western thought. The spread of Greek culture and language also had significant political implications. The establishment of Greek cities and administrative practices laid the groundwork for the development of the Roman Empire, which would go on to inherit and expand upon the legacy of the Hellenistic world. In literature and art, Alexander's legacy has been immortalized in various forms. His life and achievements have been depicted in numerous historical accounts, epic poems, and works of art. The stories of his conquests, his strategic brilliance, and his charismatic leadership have captivated the imaginations of historians, artists, and writers throughout history. Alexander's influence is also evident in the enduring fascination with his life and achievements. His legacy has inspired countless works of fiction, film, and scholarly research. The exploration of his character, achievements, and the impact of his conquests continues to capture the interest of audiences and scholars alike. The chapter on Alexander's legacy reflects the profound and far-reaching impact of his life and achievements. The division of his empire, the influence on successor states, and the enduring legacy in history and culture all highlight the significance of Alexander the Great as one of history's most influential figures. His legacy continues to shape our understanding of the ancient world and the broader historical and cultural context. The legacy of Alexander the Great has been preserved through a variety of ancient accounts, each reflecting different perspectives and biases of the historians who recorded them. The most significant ancient sources include the works of Arrian, Plutarch, Diodorus Siculus, and Curtius Rufus. These historians provide a rich tapestry of narratives about Alexander's life, conquests, and character, but their accounts also highlight the complexities and variations in how Alexander was perceived in antiquity. Arrian, c. 86 to 160 CE, is one of the most esteemed ancient historians of Alexander. His work, Anabasis Alexandri, is based largely on the writings of Alexander's contemporary, Pseudo-Skylax, and the accounts of Alexander's generals. Arrian's narrative is valued for its detailed military accounts and relatively objective presentation of Alexander's campaigns. He is known for his attempt to depict Alexander's achievements in a straightforward manner, though his admiration for Alexander's leadership and military prowess is evident. Plutarch, c. 46 to 119 CE, wrote Life of Alexander, as part of his Parallel Lives, which compares the lives of famous Greeks and Romans. Plutarch's account provides a more biographical and character-driven perspective, emphasizing Alexander's personal qualities, virtues, and moral lessons. His portrayal of Alexander is infused with moral and philosophical reflections, often highlighting the king's heroic qualities and his tragic flaws. Diodorus Siculus, c. 60 to 30 BCE, compiled his Bibliotheca Historica, which includes a detailed account of Alexander's campaigns. Diodorus's work provides a broader historical context, combining narratives from various sources. His account, while informative, often incorporates a more episodic approach, reflecting the diverse and sometimes conflicting reports available to him. Curtius Rufus, c. 1st century CE, wrote Histories of Alexander the Great, which is notable for its dramatic and vivid storytelling. Curtius's account focuses on the grand and sometimes sensational aspects of Alexander's life and achievements. His work is characterized by its rhetorical style and emphasis on the dramatic elements of Alexander's career, making it a source that blends historical facts with literary flair. These ancient accounts reflect the multifaceted nature of Alexander's legacy. While they provide valuable insights into his life and times, they also reveal the limitations and biases of their respective authors. The variation in these accounts highlights the complexities of reconstructing Alexander's historical reality from the perspectives of different ancient historians. Modern historians have approached the study of Alexander the Great with a variety of methodologies and perspectives, seeking to understand his life and achievements through the lens of contemporary scholarship. The rise of critical historical analysis and advances in archaeological research have provided new insights and interpretations of Alexander's legacy. Historical revisionism. Modern historians have reassessed Alexander's conquests and character, challenging some traditional views and offering revised interpretations. Revisionist scholars often emphasize the broader context of Alexander's campaigns, exploring the socio-political and economic factors that influenced his actions. This approach seeks to provide a more nuanced understanding of Alexander's motivations and the impact of his empire. Post-colonial perspectives. post-colonial scholarship has examined Alexander's legacy through the lens of imperialism and colonialism. Scholars in this field analyze how Alexander's conquests and the subsequent Hellenistic empires can be viewed as precursors to later colonial and imperial endeavors. This perspective highlights the complexities of Alexander's impact on the regions he conquered and the long-term consequences of his empire. Archaeological insights. Advances in archaeology have provided new evidence and perspectives on Alexander's campaigns and administration. Excavations of ancient sites, such as those in Persia and Egypt, have uncovered artifacts and inscriptions that offer insights into the material culture and administrative practices of Alexander's empire. These findings contribute to a more comprehensive understanding of the historical and cultural context of Alexander's reign. Comparative studies. Modern historians often employ comparative methods to place Alexander's achievements in a broader historical context. By comparing Alexander's conquests and administration with those of other ancient leaders and empires, scholars can better understand the unique aspects of his rule and its significance in the ancient world. Modern historical interpretations continue to evolve, reflecting the ongoing advancements in research and changing perspectives on Alexander's legacy. The combination of traditional accounts and modern analyses provides a rich and dynamic view of Alexander the Great and his impact on history. The distinction between the myth and the reality of Alexander the Great is a central theme in the study of his legacy. Alexander's life and achievements have been the subject of mythologization and legendary embellishment, often obscuring the historical reality of his actions and character. The mythologized Alexander. From the time of his conquests, Alexander was the subject of mythological and heroic narratives. His extraordinary achievements and charismatic leadership led to the creation of myths that portrayed him as a divine or semi-divine figure. These myths often emphasized his invincibility, strategic brilliance, and godlike status, contributing to his larger-than-life image. The historical Alexander, as revealed through ancient sources and modern scholarship, is a more complex figure. While he was undoubtedly a skilled military commander and influential leader, his actions and motivations were also shaped by the political, social, and cultural contexts of his time. The reality of his conquests, administrative policies, and personal characteristics reflects a more nuanced and multifaceted individual. The legacy of the myth versus the man. The interplay between the myth and the man has had a profound impact on how Alexander is remembered and studied. The mythological aspects of his legacy have influenced historical interpretations, literary works, and cultural representations. Understanding the distinction between the myth and the reality of Alexander's life helps to contextualize his achievements and assess his true impact on history. The chapter on the historian's views highlights the complexities and variations in the portrayal of Alexander the Great. Ancient accounts provide diverse perspectives on his life and achievements, while modern historical interpretations offer new insights and reassessments. The distinction between the myth and the reality of Alexander underscores the ongoing challenge of understanding his legacy in its full historical context. The legend of Alexander the Great has inspired a wealth of literary and legendary works across cultures and centuries. Known collectively as the Alexander Romance, these texts blend historical facts with imaginative storytelling, reflecting the enduring fascination with Alexander's life and achievements. The Alexander Romance. the term Alexander Romance refers to a collection of legendary stories and tales about Alexander's exploits, often embellished with mythical elements. These works emerged in various cultures and languages, reflecting Alexander's status as a legendary hero. The romance genre includes several notable texts: the Greek Alexander Romance, the earliest version of the Alexander Romance, written in Greek during the Hellenistic period, depicts Alexander's adventures and heroic deeds in a fantastical manner. This work blends historical events with imaginative elements, such as encounters with mythical creatures and divine interventions. The Greek romance established many of the motifs that would later appear in other versions of the Alexander legend. The Latin Alexander Romance, translated and adapted into Latin, this version of the romance gained widespread popularity in medieval Europe. It included elaborations on Alexander's legendary deeds, such as his encounters with strange lands and his quest for the Fountain of Youth. The Latin Romance played a significant role in shaping medieval perceptions of Alexander as a heroic figure. The Islamic Alexander Romance. In the Islamic tradition, Alexander is often identified with the figure of Tul-Qarnayn, a legendary king mentioned in the Quran. The Islamic romance incorporates elements from both Alexander's historical achievements and local legends, portraying him as a wise and just ruler who undertakes extraordinary journeys and encounters with mythical beings. The Persian Alexander Romance. The Persian version of the Alexander Romance reflects the influence of Persian culture and literature. It portrays Alexander as a hero of epic proportions, with tales of his exploits blending historical facts with Persian mythology. This version of the romance contributed to the rich tradition of Alexander's legend in the Persian-speaking world. These various versions of the Alexander Romance illustrate how Alexander's legacy was adapted and transformed across different cultures. Each version reflects the cultural values, literary traditions, and historical contexts of its time, contributing to the diverse and enduring nature of Alexander's legend. The Alexander Romance had a profound impact on Western culture, shaping literary, artistic, and historical traditions for centuries. The mythic portrayal of Alexander as a heroic and larger-than-life figure influenced a wide range of cultural expressions. Medieval literature. The Alexander Romance had a significant influence on medieval European literature. The tales of Alexander's adventures and heroic deeds were incorporated into various literary works, including epic poems, romances, and chronicles. These stories contributed to the medieval tradition of chivalric literature and influenced the portrayal of heroism and adventure in Western literature. Renaissance art and literature. During the Renaissance, the fascination with classical antiquity led to a revival of interest in Alexander the Great. Artists and writers drew inspiration from the Alexander Romance, incorporating themes and motifs from the legend into their works. Renaissance artists, such as Raphael and Leone, created paintings and sculptures depicting Alexander's heroic exploits, while writers explored his legend in plays, poems, and historical narratives. The impact on historiography. The Alexander Romance also influenced the development of historiography. Historians and scholars grappling with the historical reality of Alexander had to contend with the mythological aspects of his legacy. The blending of myth and history in the Alexander romance highlighted the challenges of separating fact from fiction in historical analysis. The cultural impact of the Alexander romance reflects the enduring fascination with Alexander as a legendary hero and the ways in which his story has been adapted and reimagined across different periods and cultures. Alexander the Great's legacy as a conqueror and military leader has had a lasting influence on subsequent figures of history. His achievements, strategies, and persona served as a model and inspiration for later conquerors and rulers. The successors to Alexander, the immediate successors of Alexander, known as the Diadochi, were heavily influenced by his example. They sought to emulate his military prowess, administrative skills, and ambition. The Hellenistic kingdoms established by his generals were shaped by Alexander's legacy, and his conquests set a precedent for the expansion of their own empires. Roman emperors. The Roman Empire, which succeeded the Hellenistic states, was deeply influenced by Alexander's legacy. Roman emperors, such as Julius Caesar and Augustus, admired Alexander's achievements and sought to draw parallels between their own conquests and Alexander's. The image of Alexander as a heroic conqueror was used to legitimize and glorify Roman imperial ambitions. Medieval and Renaissance leaders. During the medieval and Renaissance periods, the legend of Alexander inspired various leaders and military commanders. Figures such as Charlemagne, Richard the Lionheart, and Napoleon Bonaparte looked to Alexander as a model of military genius and leadership. They drew on the myth of Alexander's conquests to bolster their own claims to greatness and heroism. Modern military strategists, Alexander's strategies and tactics have been studied and emulated by military leaders throughout history. His innovative approaches to warfare, such as the use of combined arms and strategic maneuvering, have been analyzed and adapted by military theorists and practitioners. The study of Alexander's campaigns continues to be a key component of military education and training. The influence of Alexander the Great on later conquerors reflects the enduring impact of his legacy as a model of military achievement and leadership. His legend has shaped the aspirations and strategies of successive generations, contributing to the ongoing fascination with his life and accomplishments. The chapter on the Alexander romance explores the multifaceted ways in which Alexander's legend has been preserved and reimagined across cultures and eras. From ancient literary accounts to modern historical interpretations, the story of Alexander the Great continues to captivate and inspire, highlighting the enduring legacy of one of history's most iconic figures. Alexander the Great's military campaigns are renowned for their innovative tactics and strategic brilliance. His ability to adapt and employ effective strategies contributed to his success and established a model for military leaders throughout history. The phalanx formation, one of Alexander's most notable military innovations, was the use of the Macedonian phalanx, a tight formation of heavily armed infantry. The phalanx, with its long spears, sarissas, and overlapping shields, created a formidable front that was difficult for enemies to penetrate. Alexander's adaptation of this formation allowed him to maintain a strong defensive position while also launching powerful offensive actions. Combined arms tactics. Alexander excelled in the integration of different military units, utilizing infantry, cavalry, and siege weapons in coordinated attacks. His ability to combine the phalanx with cavalry charges, particularly the use of the companion cavalry, created a versatile and effective fighting force. This approach allowed him to exploit enemy weaknesses and adapt to various combat situations. Strategic maneuvering. Alexander's strategic acumen was demonstrated in his ability to maneuver his forces to gain tactical advantages. His use of feigned retreats, surprise attacks, and rapid movements allowed him to outflank and defeat larger or more entrenched enemies. The Battle of Gaugamela, where Alexander outmaneuvered Darius III's much larger army, exemplifies his strategic prowess. Psychological warfare. Alexander understood the importance of psychological impact in warfare. He employed tactics to demoralize his opponents, such as demonstrating his army's discipline and invincibility or spreading fear through strategic displays of power. His ability to project strength and confidence often led to the psychological defeat of his adversaries before actual combat. Alexander's military tactics and strategies not only contributed to his immediate successes but also left a lasting legacy on the art of warfare. His methods continue to be studied and applied by military leaders and strategists around the world. Alexander the Great's leadership and governance were instrumental in his ability to build and maintain a vast empire. His approach to ruling diverse territories and integrating different cultures offers valuable lessons in leadership and administration, vision and ambition. Alexander's vision for his empire extended beyond mere conquest. He sought to unite different cultures under a single administration, promoting a sense of shared purpose and identity. His ambition drove him to create an empire that spanned from Greece to India, and his vision influenced his policies and governance strategies. Cultural integration. Alexander implemented policies to integrate the diverse cultures within his empire. He encouraged marriages between Macedonians and locals, founded cities that served as cultural and administrative hubs, and adopted elements of Persian and Egyptian customs. This approach helped to foster cooperation and reduce resistance among conquered peoples. Administrative reforms. To manage his vast empire, Alexander introduced various administrative reforms. He established a system of satrapies, provinces, with appointed governors, ensured the maintenance of local customs and laws, and promoted the use of Greek as a common language for administration and communication. These reforms facilitated effective governance and helped to stabilize the empire. Charismatic leadership. Alexander's personal charisma and leadership style played a crucial role in his success. He led by example, sharing the hardships of his soldiers and inspiring loyalty through his courage and determination. His ability to motivate and lead his troops was a key factor in his military successes and his ability to maintain control over his empire. Alexander's approach to leadership and governance offers insights into the challenges and strategies involved in ruling a diverse and expansive empire. His ability to balance vision, cultural integration, and administrative efficiency contributed to his achievements and the stability of his empire. The trajectory of Alexander's empire, from its rise to its eventual fragmentation, provides important lessons on the dynamics of empire building and the factors contributing to the rise and fall of great powers. The impact of expansion. Alexander's rapid expansion created an empire of unprecedented size, but the sheer scale of his conquests presented challenges. Managing and administering such a vast territory strained resources and complicated governance. The empire's size also made it difficult to maintain control and cohesion across diverse regions. Succession issues. Alexander's untimely death led to a crisis of succession, as his empire lacked a clear and stable succession plan. The subsequent struggles among his generals and successors, known as the Diadochi, resulted in the fragmentation of the empire into competing Hellenistic kingdoms. The lack of a unified succession plan highlights the importance of preparing for leadership transitions in the sustainability of an empire, cultural integration versus cultural resistance. While Alexander's policies promoted cultural integration, they also faced resistance from local populations. The balance between promoting unity and respecting local traditions is a key factor in the stability of an empire. Alexander's attempts to merge cultures and customs sometimes led to friction and resistance, demonstrating the complexities of managing diverse populations, economic and administrative strain. The maintenance of an expansive empire required significant economic resources and administrative efficiency. The costs of military campaigns, administrative expenses, and the logistics of governing distant territories placed a strain on the empire's resources. Economic and administrative challenges contributed to the eventual decline and fragmentation of Alexander's empire. The rise and fall of Alexander's empire underscore the complexities of empire building and the factors that influence the longevity of great powers. His achievements and the subsequent challenges faced by his successors offer valuable lessons on the dynamics of leadership, governance, and the management of expansive territories. Chapter 18, Lessons from Alexander's Reign, explores the military tactics and strategies that defined Alexander's success, the principles of his leadership and governance, and the factors contributing to the rise and fall of his empire. The chapter provides insights into the enduring legacy of Alexander the Great and the lessons that can be drawn from his reign for understanding the nature of empires and leadership. Alexander the Great's life and conquests left a profound and enduring impact on history, shaping the course of Western civilization and influencing various aspects of culture, politics, and military strategy. His legacy continues to be studied and revered for its breadth and complexity. This reflection on Alexander's aftermath delves into the multifaceted nature of his influence and the enduring legacy he left behind. Alexander's conquests facilitated the spread of Greek culture and ideas across a vast territory, leading to the era known as the Hellenistic Age. This period was marked by cultural syncretism. The fusion of Greek culture with local traditions and practices resulted in a rich cultural exchange. Cities founded by Alexander, such as Alexandria in Egypt, became centers of learning and cultural integration. The blending of Greek and Eastern elements produced a unique cultural and intellectual milieu that influenced art, science, and philosophy. Scientific and philosophical advancements. The Hellenistic period saw significant advancements in science, mathematics, and philosophy, largely influenced by Greek thought. Scholars such as Euclid, Archimedes, and Hipparchus made groundbreaking contributions, and the philosophical schools of Stoicism and Epicureanism gained prominence. Alexander's military tactics and strategies have had a lasting impact on the study of warfare, military textbooks and doctrine. Alexander's campaigns are extensively analyzed in military studies and textbooks. His innovative tactics, such as the use of the phalanx and combined arms, are taught in military academies around the world. His strategies continue to be relevant for understanding principles of warfare and leadership. Inspirational figure for leaders. Throughout history, military leaders and strategists have drawn inspiration from Alexander's achievements. Figures such as Julius Caesar, Napoleon Bonaparte, and modern military commanders have looked to Alexander's example for guidance in their own pursuits of conquest and leadership. Alexander's sudden death without a clear successor led to the fragmentation of his empire. The Diadochean successor states, the struggle for power among Alexander's generals, known as the Diadochi, resulted in the division of his empire into several Hellenistic kingdoms. These successor states, including the Seleucid Empire, the Ptolemaic Kingdom, and the Antigonid dynasty, each contributed to the continuation and adaptation of Greek culture in different regions. Historical implications. The fragmentation of Alexander's empire highlights the challenges of maintaining control over a vast and diverse territory. It underscores the importance of succession planning and the difficulties inherent in governing expansive empires. Alexander's legacy extends beyond military and political achievements, literary and artistic depictions. Alexander's life has been depicted in various literary and artistic forms throughout history. From ancient historical accounts to modern novels, films, and works of art, Alexander remains a central figure in the exploration of heroism, ambition, and leadership. Myth and legend. The Alexander romance and other legendary accounts have contributed to the mythologization of Alexander's character. His portrayal as a larger-than-life hero with divine attributes reflects the enduring fascination with his persona and the impact of his achievements on popular imagination. Alexander's reign provides valuable lessons for contemporary and future leaders. The balance of ambition and governance. Alexander's ambition and vision drove his conquests, but his inability to establish a stable succession plan led to the fragmentation of his empire. Modern leaders can learn from his example the importance of balancing visionary goals with practical governance and succession planning. The integration of cultures. Alexander's policies of cultural integration and fusion offer insights into the management of diverse societies. His approach to blending cultures and respecting local traditions serves as a model for contemporary efforts to promote unity and cooperation in multicultural settings. In conclusion, Alexander the Great's impact and legacy are multifaceted, encompassing cultural, military, and political dimensions. His conquests and achievements reshaped the ancient world, leaving a lasting imprint on history and culture. Reflecting on Alexander's aftermath reveals the enduring relevance of his life and accomplishments, providing valuable lessons for understanding the dynamics of leadership, empire building, and cultural integration. The allure of Alexander the Great endures through the ages, not just because of his unparalleled military conquests, but also due to his complex character and the mythic narratives woven around him. From the ancient world to the present day, historians, artists, and thinkers have remained captivated by the man who dared to imagine an empire that stretched to the edges of the known world. Alexander's ambition, intellect, and audacity have inspired generations of leaders and thinkers. As Plutarch once remarked, when Alexander saw the breadth of his domain, he wept, for there were no more worlds to conquer. This famous, though likely apocryphal, quote symbolizes both the limitless drive and the poignant reality of ambition, that it can sometimes outgrow what is achievable. In literature and film, Alexander's life is frequently depicted as the archetypal hero's journey. His narrative of relentless pursuit, glory, and eventual tragedy echoes themes from classical works like Homer's Iliad, which Alexander reportedly slept with under his pillow during his campaigns. He saw himself as a modern Achilles, a figure destined for greatness but marked by his own mortal flaws. Over time, the historical figure of Alexander has become blurred with the legend. The Alexander Romance, a collection of fantastical tales about his life, added to his status as a larger-than-life figure. These stories paint him as a man who conversed with gods, performed miraculous feats, and defied the constraints of ordinary men. In some parts of the world, Alexander is revered almost as a demigod, while in others, like Persia, he is viewed more as a destroyer of cultures. This duality, hero and villain, conqueror and visionary, makes him an endlessly fascinating subject for interpretation. Alexander's influence on later military leaders is unmistakable. Napoleon Bonaparte, upon his own conquests, declared, "I am not like Alexander, I am Alexander," drawing a direct link between his ambitions and the Macedonian king's unparalleled legacy. Similarly, Julius Caesar is said to have wept at the sight of Alexander's statue, lamenting that he had not achieved as much by his own age. Beyond the battlefield, Alexander's legacy also extends into leadership, diplomacy, and governance. His efforts to blend the cultures of East and West, symbolized by his policy of intermarriage with Persian nobility, reflect a modern understanding of cross-cultural integration in global diplomacy. Ultimately, the fascination with Alexander lies not only in his victories but also in the lessons his life offers about leadership and the human condition. His rise and fall serve as a timeless reminder that greatness comes with its own burdens. As Aristotle, Alexander's own tutor, once noted, "He who has never learned to obey cannot be a good commander." Even today, Alexander's name continues to evoke images of bravery, intelligence, and charisma. His legacy is etched into the collective memory of the world, ensuring that his legend will be passed down through generations, both as a man and as a myth. The life of Alexander the Great is more than just a story of conquest. It is a symbol of the enduring human spirit, forever striving for greatness, forever seeking to leave a lasting mark on history.